Okay. No intro today, it
Wait,
appears.
are we on now?
Well, we're on now, but to have some fun, here's the intro.
This is from the Department of Defense, the U.S. Army website. If you want a career in information operations while you work for the Army, you can have one. And what is that? They tell you a little bit.
For example, how does a physical attack end up on the news and what kind of reaction that will evoke from the local population? Those are all things we have to consider.
All right, again, official DOD material here. They calculate how physical attacks will play on the news, what kind of coverage that will evoke. The capabilities are there. Not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm a little bit nervous right now, right? I think we all should be. After all, we just went through the winter of drones. That was interesting, right? Do we have conclusion? Do we have closure on that? I personally don't. Yesterday on the highway, I saw my first drone yesterday, or something really weird. They try to tell me, oh, no, that's just Starlink. Well, it wasn't Starlink. Take it full. Starlink is a bunch of satellites that are in low Earth orbit. These things were about, 200 yards in front of me, and they weren't in outer space. They were about 1,000 feet high. About 150 people pulled over to look at what I was seeing. So it's interesting. January 6th is Monday. I'm sure everything will go smoothly and we'll have a great inauguration and President Trump will be safe, and so will America. I hope and pray.
So do I. So it is New Year's, and in my defense, I have slept since last year. As you could tell, I didn't have the intro set up right.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. That's the thing I watched last night. That's what I was talking to you about. It's actually two stories. He combined these two stories, but they do have resonance because he was saying that the military intelligence covers reaction of the populace for various terrorist events. Let's just sum it up for that. But then he himself, either on the Jersey Turnpike or the Thruway last night, in the New York State Thruway and the Jersey Turnpike, saw this configuration of drones that hundreds of people stopped and looked at. None of this is on the news. They've decided not to cover it any longer, but there may be some breaking news on this. I don't know.
Courtesy of another story that is going on with the Trump hotel bombing. There's now that letter that came out, and it's breaking right now. So I haven't had a chance to get a handle on it.
I understand what's coming in the letter. It's a letter that Matt Livelsberger sent to a cat named Sam Shoemate, who then went on to Sean Ryan's show and read the email that was sent to him the day before, this is December 31st, saying he's been followed by the FBI and Homeland Security for over a week. He was witness of war crimes, blowing up of numerous residential hospitals and buildings in Afghanistan. But as I said, when he first blew himself up, or maybe didn't blow himself up, that one of the specialties in Germany, where he was recently in this past fall station, was his drone technology and overseeing drone operations, unmanned drones in Germany. How he got back here from Germany, I don't know what happened. However, in the email, he says in detail that the drones on the East Coast and the Northeast are being launched from Chinese submarines for months. They are super high tech. We don't have anything to compete with them. The Department of Defense, of course, knows this. They're well aware of it. They are, you can read it yourself. They are completely freaked out about this. They could attack the East Coast at will. The Chinese submarines launch them every night out in the Atlantic. This is his statements as the drone guy telling us why he's being pursued. He was verified on LinkedIn by both Sean Ryan and Shoemate.
And the FBI, by the way.
And the FBI that asked him about his vehicle bomb that he had created with the Tesla car. He tried to get to Mexico, but he couldn't get across the border. And he turned back and then went to the Las Vegas situation. But his main, besides the war crimes, which were cited by the United Nations, his main thrust is about these Chinese drones and the war games or the probing that the Chinese have been doing on the East Coast with their high-tech drones that can go over 100 miles per hour, something that he says we don't have and has scared the living shit out of the Pentagon. Everyone's aware of it in our Defense Department. They don't want to say anything because of the lopsided ability of the Chinese at this point. Maybe there's a drone gap, if you want to call it that, like the former missile gap. And he says they're launching them from Chinese submarines at night. That's the takeaway that I got from this thing.
Right, which is very confusing. There's also the issue that before the explosives were engaged, somehow a bullet got into his head. And that's interesting. Well, and it's a self-driving car.
Well, does he have a dead switch in his hand, Eric? I mean,
does he? Was it remote control?
Yeah.
Did he do it himself? Did he not? I mean, there's so many weird.
Well, I mean, you see video of the car pulling up. I mean, like I said,
it's a self-driving vehicle.
Right, but I'm saying it blows up on film and pulls up. That's one continuous piece of video.
Right, but I'm just saying
nobody's getting in or out is what I mean.
Again, it is a self-driving vehicle, and it could be go to here.
Oh yeah,
and there could be somebody sitting there looking at it with a remote detonator going.
Of course,
done.
Of course.
I don't know. It just there's so many.
Of course. I mean, he's
timer. It could be geofenced
and rebuild it.
Yes.
I mean, as a hobby project or something, I guess.
Well, it's also kind of weird too because I mean, I have so many issues with it. Like one, there were two vehicles that were taking place in two different incidents. Ironically, if those vehicles were reversed, and thank God they weren't, there would have been more carnage because a Ford pickup would have been more like shrapnel.
Yeah.
If that was in Vegas. The Tesla Cybertruck turns out to be a pretty well-made vehicle and actually contained a lot of that explosion, shocking amount of the explosion. And that's an interesting choice.
Well, they both rented from Turo, which is an interesting choice.
That is true. But now I have questions on that. There are questions on both being at Bragg. One thing about both being at Fort Bragg, there are so many soldiers who pass through Fort Bragg.
It's 50,000 there right now. So
yeah, it's really difficult to say.
But also deployed the same year in Afghanistan,
right?
Which could be another coincidence, I guess. You know,
it can't be.
That's a big playing field, is what I mean.
Oh, sure. And then that rental agency or that company. Is that the only game in town? Is it a specialized thing? If you're going to go get like these special, certain vehicles, you go there. I don't know.
Oh, no, but I do know because I've rented from them before. The situation is anybody, it's kind of like Airbnb for cars. It's all different kinds of cars. They're just self-owned. And you sign a contract with a guy who's got that car. The weird thing is, the weird thing is it's spooky because they'll meet you in back of a 7-Eleven and then they'll give you the car. You know what I mean? Because they're not at the airport. So let's say you land at Miami airport. Now you got to somehow get, and I'm not kidding, to the back of a 7-Eleven in Miami where the guy will turn over the car to you. It's his car. It's his car.
Sounds like an ideal choice for this type of thing then.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, a rental car agency, there would be much more of a paper trail and a different.
Not only that, there'd be video of you getting the car. All that stuff would be, this Turo thing. I eventually twice tried to do it. Twice got spooked and didn't go through with it because it was just too sketchy. It's cheaper, I have to say, than a regular rental. And you could choose a Tesla. You could choose. They have all brand new cars owned by the individuals who own them. And I know people who've bought 6 Teslas out here in LA just to do that. In other words, they bought 6 to do this Turo thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just want to address that. Now, that spot, I have parked in that spot many times, pulling up to the Trump with my own vehicles, rental or personal cars in that spot. Now, that whole thing there is a shit show. I just got to just say this for a second, because you come up this ramp and everybody gets boxed in up there. They have valet. I gave them my valet once or twice, and they came back. The car was just reeking of weed. And I said, who do I have to blame for this? And they go, there's no one to blame. There's so many kids here. We can never tell who did it. Okay, so now I'm driving around a car reeking of weed, which is not a happy thing. However, that whole ramp in and out thing up there is a complete shit show. And Trump has got to do something about it, because it's just a bottleneck of cars and people and Uber and everything else.
Which sounds like an ideal target.
Absolutely.
But the wrong delivery device. Thank God.
Absolutely. Well, they said his people said if he wanted to do damage, no one knew more about it than him.
And exactly. So I'm kind of going, that's a little weird that a guy who can do IEDs, who's had actual training, would put together this kind of weird kit, if you will. I don't know. There's just so many problems.
Now, keep in mind, he's got 2 wives and the girlfriend in the middle. And the second wife said he was cheating on her. That was 6 days ago. And he had a restraining order against the first wife, with which he has a daughter with. She remarried, moved out of state to get away from him. He had a girlfriend and this second wife. And the second wife said she confronted him about cheating on her just 6 days ago. And then they broke up. So there's stuff there. But he was texting the girlfriend all during the day
about the car. Yeah,
and
like,
other upbeat things.
Car.
Yeah, he didn't sound depressed at all.
Yeah, this was so confusing, because we've got the mirror incident in New Orleans, or the second incident, which just seems so straightforward. The New Orleans one, right down the line, growing the beard, possibly the Sharia.
Well, I think there's more to it in New Orleans, because I think the guy was an alcoholic. He was fired from multiple jobs. He spiraled into a black hole of poverty. He had domestic abuse with the first wife. He had multiple wives. He had restraining orders against him. All earmarks of alcoholic abuse, which is what I think he did. And then, to get out of it, became a religious fanatic, which is not uncommon. I know people who've gotten sober through Christianity and gone completely fanatical Christianity-wise. I think this guy did it Muslim-wise and went fanatical because of his own addiction issues. Just the limited stuff that I know, this has all the earmarks of a guy who was an alcoholic and was dealing with it through religion. Let me just leave it at that.
Well, and I do know, I don't know if he served any time, but there's also a lot of Muslim conversion that takes place in prisons too.
No, he didn't serve any time. He was actually a consultant for Deloitte, which is a big operation. He was making like mid 6 figures, and he got fired from that job. He is fired, and I think because of alcoholism, and he's fired because of that abuse. Not that he had any HR or any things like that. He's terminated from one job after another until he ends up in a trailer park with barnyard animals in his front yard, Eric. I mean, he had chickens and goats in his front yard.
Wow. And
this
then
is a guy who had big money jobs, Eric.
Right. And then, of course, he manages to get himself in the spot where you have a DEI police chief. You have barricades, or the barriers that she's like, oh, I didn't know we had those.
Oh, no, that's a whole different story, like we talked about. But just to finish up with him, you're right. A lot of these guys, his brother, who is apparently Muslim, said his brother got radicalized, and his brother is more like a peaceful Muslim. But how about that wide open house that allowed the media to tour the house?
Yeah, what's up with that? It seems almost deliberate. Like, oh, here, let's let them go muck up any evidence or whatever.
Well, I don't know about mucking up, but it had all the earmarks of Mar-a-Lago. They had put everything out for the press to see. They had the Quran open to the page about violence. They had their own documents on the table. It was almost like a Mar-a-Lago version of the tour of the crime scene.
Well, was it George Wallace that you said that they did that too?
They did it to Lenny Bruce right here in LA. Yeah, they did it to Lenny Bruce when he OD'd. They propped up syringes that were actually diabetic syringes, not even heroin needles. And the press was propping him up, and you know, it was all these photo ops.
I didn't know there was a difference, Mark.
What's that?
I thought needles were needles. I had no idea.
Oh, that's a side story. I'll talk to you after the show. But nevertheless, the point of the matter was they have done this before, and the FBI took a page out of their Mar-a-Lago handbook, and it's just inexplicable. The crime scene's 2 minutes old, Eric.
Oh, speaking of
this girl in the video is walking all through the entire house.
Yeah, speaking of the Mar-a-Lago handbook, there's a possible tie between Ruth and the Las Vegas guy that he was supposedly recruiting for Ukraine, or that was going around. So there's so much weirdness going on.
Ralph went to Fort Bragg 50 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that. Did you know that? 50 times he goes to, was he show up at the gate? I'm here looking for recruits. Can you let me in? I mean, what is that about?
Well, I think he was actually he was a contractor at some point, working with the government. That was one of the questions. But
okay, my second question is about Livelsberger. He's 37 years old. He's 19 years into the military. Needs one more year to get to the 20th for his pension. He's 37. He started. But excuse me.
It's probably about 21 years. They've shifted over time. But anyway,
that's all I'm saying is he went in at 17.
Yep.
He's at 37. He has never done anything since he was 17. He's talking about a lifer. I mean, this guy started when he was underage.
A lot of them do. When I was in basic, I was with 17-year-olds. I was in my 20s, but there were a lot of them that get a waiver from their parents.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Oswald got the waiver as a Marine. So that waiver came from his mother. You're right. It's very common.
Yeah.
But 20 years straight, Eric. I mean, this guy's seen some shit. This is not just a guy in combat. This is the head of drone operations in Germany.
Special forces. So he's
special forces, Green Beret. I mean, holy crap, Eric.
Right. Special forces is Green Beret, by the way.
Okay. Well, Kennedy invented it, so we'll have to ask JFK about it. Now, you don't have an opinion on these Chinese drones. You're saying there's a wait and see attitude.
Yeah, because we've already, how different is the Chinese drone story from the Iranian drone story that we just said?
There's two differences. One is the high-tech ability of the Chinese versus the Iranians. 2, that ship was easily trackable. 3, these are Chinese submarines, which may make a difference in terms of the narrative. And 4, it may explain it. I mean, other than that, I guess there's no news. But in my drone research, this is a breaking angle to the story, is all I could say.
Well, I mean, what is your theory? Are you saying, oh, yeah, absolutely, the Chinese have the...
No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying this is the first time I've ever heard anybody say that. And because he's got the Veritas and he's got the ability to work with drones, I have to take the guy somewhat seriously, because of his expertise in that area. Not to mention they were going 100 miles an hour, according to General Kelly when they flew over Langley. There's been a number of statements about their technology.
Okay, well,
I'm just have to put it in the hopper at this point.
And fair enough. And by the way, I know it sounds huge, but 100 miles an hour is not that fast.
Again, I'm not saying it is, but what they said in the article, the Wall Street Journal article, is that our drones go 40 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour. And these were going 100 miles per hour with insane maneuverability that we didn't have. Whether that's true, I don't know. But that is one of the angles to what this guy is talking about to Sean Ryan.
Okay, well, on that
in that letter.
No, I understand. And again, this is so fresh that I want to look into it more. Like, I know somebody who worked drones in the military, special forces wise, or with them. I want to consult them and, see if I can find out a little bit more information. The 40 miles an hour civilian based drones are going 40 miles an hour. It's
right.
And faster.
Do you support Trump changing back all the names of the military bases?
Absolutely.
I meant to ask you that because they're now calling this place Fort Liberty.
Yeah, I know. But no, The newspapers are calling it Fort Bragg.
Right.
I think because they don't want to associate with the Democrats who renamed it Fort BS Liberty.
Right.
Absolutely change it back. That is so irritating.
There's popped into my mind this morning. I never thought about it, but
I thought of it yesterday.
Yeah. He can change it back the 20th.
And
well, with Mount McKinley, it's like Mount McKinley.
Correct. And I hope he changes that back. There was a reason it was named Fort Bragg. I know a lot of people are saying that those were Southern generals. Damn it. Why did you name it? That was part of the reconciliation. That was part of giving the respect, saying you fought a good battle. Those generals did a good job. Come on under the wing. We're going to throw a little bit of respect to Fort Lee, to Robert E. Lee, Bragg, etc.
What about Fort Lee, New Jersey? Should they change it to something else in Fort Lee, New Jersey?
I don't know. Was it named
my
after
friends in
Robert E.
New
Lee,
Jersey?
or was it another Lee?
I asked my friends in New Jersey. That's not my ballywick. Okay, but let's get to the other pipe bomber, which is the January 6th pipe bomber that now the FBI, yesterday of all days on the planet Earth, put out a brand new statement with literally no new information except a bumped up $500,000 reward, showing that the guy's 5'7" and basically running the same video again of this guy on the cell phone and after he plants the pipe bomb. Eric, is a couple of points.
Look here, Bolo, be on the lookout for her.
Right. So there's 2 points to this thing. One, they negated to mention there was also a pipe bomb at Republican National Headquarters. They leave that out of the storyline on all the major network news. The pipe bomb that's in front of the DNC, this is the incoming vice president is inside that DNC. The guy's on his cell phone. The FBI a number of months ago said they lost the cell phone transmission information that they had of that cell phone. So a whistleblower at T-Mobile, and I don't know if it's T-Mobile, but it's one of the big 3 cell phone companies, said, that's okay, I have it. The actual transmission and ownership of the phone owner. That guy is going to get himself $500,000 because he says he's holding it until the new administration comes in. The information, he doesn't want to give it to the FBI.
Good.
He told the FBI that he has it. They said they lost it and it's irretrievable. In other words, the guy's on a cell phone. You can see it in the video. Right. They said, well, we had it, but of course we lost it. And this guy said, no, it's okay. I'm a T-Mobile. I've got it. They went, whoa, bro. Who are you now? I know Jeffrey Stern. I'm in IT over here at T-Mobile. And he says, I'm giving it to Kash Patel. So this
I was going to say, who are you? My name is Mr. In Hiding until the new administration.
That's essentially what he's doing. And so that name, and I think that's why they put this thing out yesterday, because they know the day of reckoning is a few weeks away with this storyline, and they're gonna have to apprehend this guy before January 20th. I'm predicting, to bury him somewhere in a gulag so he doesn't rat them out.
Yeah, I think it was probably very dumb of him to say anything at all. I would recommend just wait until that time and say, hey, by the way, were you looking for this? I got something.
That's kind of what he said, but I mean, kind of leaked out. And then I guess they didn't want to focus on him and the story, so he was left alone to his own devices, if he's still alive. I mean, this was 2 months ago.
Yes. Well, speaking of January 6th, I mean, we were talking about possible pardons for politicians. Hey, we might get a pardon for Liz Cheney, but she also got the freaking Presidential Freedom Award, I think it was, or the Medal of Freedom.
It's so weird. If you look at that video, how he won't let go of her hand. It's so creepy because she tries to pull away from Biden yesterday. I think Benny Thompson got one also. And then she rolls her eyes because he's grabbing her hand so effing hard that she wanted to take the award and get off the stage. And he intensifies the grip on her hand. And I kind of felt sorry for her because here's the guy who's the arch enemy of her political party. Yeah, if you could run this, it might show it a little. Oh, there he pulls her arm back. There it is.
Yeah, and he's also holding the award and not letting her get.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. This piece of shit. And she kind of rolls her eyes when he pulls her back. And I watched it yesterday a bunch of times. Watch this.
Right when he pulls her.
She
kind of leans back and goes, what the? Oh, God.
Yep.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. She did not want to do this event. She did not want to do, and she still can't get away, bro.
Yeah, because he took the award away. So she's like, oh, shit. She's about to walk off without the award. Like, give me away.
What a piece of shit this guy is. Anyway, she still has to be indicted. So
100%.
She'll have this award in prison, I guess, hopefully.
But you know what? And one thing about it is, indicted or not, this award is the capper. This is the nail in her political coffin. She is done unless she tries to go Democrat, but they won't have her either. I mean, this is like
they might have her. I don't know. They might have her. The point of the matter is, I think he's going to pardon her anyway.
Oh, I think so.
I think she's on the list of pardons.
Probably.
They're not going to let her float out there. They're not going to let her float out there where she could flip against them. I mean, think about it. If she flips, their house of cards crumbles.
Right. Well, he's got a pardon, and also she makes it bipartisan pardon, so that way he can pardon Schiff and her at the same time. Yeah. So she'll give cover, and not only pardon, he's given an award. It's just everything he does is just to amplify and aggravate, and it's so frustrating.
He's one creepy dude, bro.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Oh my God.
Now, speaking of military, I just want to talk about the situation in New York because Hochul has placed 1,000 military members, National Guard, on 472 subway stations in New York. Now, this may seem to be quite effective. However, there's a caveat to this thing. They are not allowed to ride the trains, which is kind of not helpful. They are 2 guards per station, and they're on the platform of these stations almost exclusively in Manhattan, according to our intelligence special reporter, Al Gonzalez, who is giving us this inside information. They are basically piggybacking off of NYPD when they see them. They don't get on the trains, and the stations are all in Manhattan. So there's nothing in Queens, nothing in Brooklyn, nothing in the other boroughs, especially the South Bronx. Any of the crime centers have no National Guard. That being said,
what you're saying is it's security theater.
That's what he called it. Those are the words he used. Security theater by Hochul, who is going down faster in flames than I've ever seen a governor since the blind governor went down in flames. Cuomo lasted, a good amount of time, but this chick cannot. She it's now $18 to get into Manhattan. It's going up to like $22 or something to cross the bridge to get in. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
Oh no. The bridge charges to get into town, not to leave. You can leave for free. To get in is like $20. The toll. So it's like, holy crap. What if you got to go back and forth? And, it's 20. She's going to use that. It's like a tax. She's like calling it a congestion tax.
I see. And that's and I'm sure she is leveling that it's an environmental consideration that'll get the pollution down because they're going to raise the rate. So she's doing it for the good of the world.
Well, the good of New York anyway, but
hey, they think bigger, Mark. It's never just the city.
I think Letitia James is going to run against her, and
oh God,
for governor. And I think this Tish woman who keeps firing different NYPD people may be running for governor herself. So we're going to keep an eye on that New York thing because it's fascinating. Now, talking about New York, as I predicted, Marshawn will be sentencing Donald Trump, despite everybody mocking me.
Well, hold on. You did say that he was going to hold it over his head indefinitely. So this
no. This is that everyone said the case would be dismissed. I said he would be sentenced. He was going to be sentenced next week. I've never deviated from that. The question is when he was going to do it. They're trying to damage him right before the swearing in. He will be sentenced to, I predict, 5 years probation, absolutely no jail time. But the sentencing, as per our legal friends who all claimed that it was going to be dismissed, I've never buckled from that idea. And Marshawn wrote today, blah, 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 no one's above the law. This was also released today. If the letter, which is available on Twitter, I sent you a copy of it by Marshawn, says that he has to be sentenced right now because he'll have other powers when he's president. So he made it as close to the swearing in ceremony as possible. Bragg said the story was from Bragg about waiting till he got out, Eric. That was from Alvin Bragg. Marshawn said he's doing it now,
which is actually good. I mean, getting well, okay, no time, and the speculation on the sentence that's up there. You're saying suspended. Some are saying it's just saying it's done. There's no time, nothing. I didn't even see a suspended when I glanced.
He's going to get probation.
Okay, well,
he's going to get. There's going to be a legal 2 to 5 years probation, which is a sentence for someone who doesn't have a criminal record. I mean, if it wasn't Trump and the guy this thing would probably get probation anyway.
Well, Nate was saying technically, if it was anybody else, it would be a fine. There wouldn't even be.
There's a couple ways to go. The point is, the jail time is not going to happen, but the probation can cause problems.
Well, sure, if it's a recorded conviction with a quote felony.
Well, it is going to be recorded, so he's not going to deviate from that. It is going to be a convicted felon. This will make it official on January 10th.
Right, but it also moves it forward to the appeals where it can be overturned. But remember, the other strategy, which you were saying too, that he would hold it indefinitely so it can never be appealed.
Right. Well, that was the Alvin. That came from Alvin Bragg at the 11th hour. That was out of the DA's office. Marshawn never said that. He never signed off on that. But this is him. This is the official thing, January 10th. January 5th, which is not that far away, which I believe is Monday, Trump's lawyers have to say whether he'll be there physically or visually for the sentencing. They have to tell this piece of shit judge from South America that he'll be there either physically or visually.
And I'm going to guess, well, I don't know with Trump. He might be there physically.
Yeah, might go there physically.
Just to glare at him.
Yeah.
And get the cameras. So we'll see. Obviously, it would be very, very difficult to have anything happen with Trump. Like, he's not going to get locked up. He's not going to be perp walked or anything.
Well, he already has been in other cases, so it's not that unusual. I mean, he got the mugshot. He got the perp walk in Atlanta. That case is about done, right? I mean, the RICO statute case.
It is done because she got removed from it. So the case is in the air, and unless somebody takes it up, there is no case.
What I mean is it's in the air.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you have this situation where he's going to get sentenced. You got the vote just now happen with Mike Johnson. It went to the second round or 1.5 rounds, or I don't know. It was a 1.5 round fight.
I think it was 1.5. I think it was 1 round, and then some phone calls were made.
Right. And
suddenly 2 came back, and Thomas Massey has to be feeling very uncomfortable at the moment because even Chip Roy came around, and there was some timing too. I don't know who put the pressure on, if it was Elon Musk directly, but Elon Musk did put out saying, "You get this done." And it wasn't that long after he put that out that suddenly 2 people flipped. Mike Johnson's claiming he made no concessions with them whatsoever, that they decided on their own. I don't know. I can't wait for two-way on Monday. Let's put it that way, because I want to hear what Spicer's
there's 2 things I'll take away. One was the fact that they announced that Matt Gaetz would not be part of the Congress, and they all applauded. That was sickening and gutless pieces of shit for doing that. Number 2 is that Mike Johnson secretly changed the Gaetz rule. That Gaetz,
I know that. I have that here.
Secretly changed it to not just 1 member of Congress asking for a vote. Now he needs 9 members of Congress to call for a vote. And Mike Johnson was saying, that's fair. I don't think 1 man should be able to call and have that much power and call for a vote. my position here as Speaker of the House. Let's make it 9. Just pull this number out of his ass. This guy is Paul Ryan. He's a weasel. All this bullshit about him being this conservative from Louisiana, it's a crock of shit. This guy is dripping of rhino weaseldom. Okay, he is going to stab Trump in the back eventually, and now he's in there for as long as it takes to do his Paul Ryan dance.
Question for you though on that, and this is the problem: who was the backup?
I don't know.
There was.
I don't know. Okay, well now because Trump went to bed with this guy, he's got to sleep with him.
At least for a while. I mean, technically, get himself in office, and then he
watch the first time he stabs Trump in the back.
Right.
Wait for that moment remember this episode when he stabs Trump in the back on a vote. Watch what happens then.
No, I agree.
You know it's coming, Eric.
Of course I know it's coming. I never said it, but it's a very frustrating situation because the Republican Party is a disaster.
Right.
It's Trump doesn't have enough MAGA in there to where he can actually push.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have picked guys to be attorney general and people to be the ambassador to the UN and everyone else that he picked to do these stupid jobs. Maybe he should have been a little bit sharper in his picks before he pulled him out of the House.
100%.
Just an observation.
We've been saying that now for 2 months.
Well, what do you expect?
Stefanik, why are you doing that?
Right. Well, Matt Gaetz's show aired yesterday on OAN. I don't know if anybody saw it. His new TV show, which I predicted he would have a TV show. I thought it would be Newsmax, but it's OAN, and it aired yesterday as I predicted it would. That's what he's going to be doing. So that's an interesting move to a guy that doesn't need the money.
Yeah, true.
What a waste. It's a funny thing. The thing that drove a stake into Johnson for me was the last appropriation of Ukraine. That was the most sickening, the final appropriation during the shutdown battle that he had to get this money to Ukraine. I'm never going to forget that. This may be the biggest historically political debacle in American foreign policy history. And we've had a lot of them. This is $64 billion in 2 years with 1 million people dead between Russia and Ukraine. Not one phone call from the commander-in-chief, not one attempt for peace talks in Paris, not one attempt to have any kind of shuttle diplomacy or foreign diplomacy. Nothing reeks of this evil empire and imperialism than this Ukraine-Russia debacle for the past 2 years. It has set us back in the world's view so badly because of the evil foreign policy that this son of a bitch was running. $64 billion, Eric, in blood money that got taken from the American taxpayers to give to this guy Zelensky. It really is outrageous. And now Mike Johnson says no more money. Well, isn't that courageous? Isn't that fucking courageous?
Yeah, and he helped give some.
He helped give some at the very. And dude, I'm not going to let it go.
No, really, I'm fine with that. I don't know. I guess my quandary was this: we need Trump to actually get in office, and you did need a speaker for that purpose. I hope that everybody's going to hope Eric. Well, sorry,
hopium,
whatever. I don't trust anybody, and that's why. How many times do I say, shocking but not surprising?
Well, he could have put his political capital on November 5th or November 10th behind someone else, and he chose not to.
Well, that's on him.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's on him. Yeah. No, I'm not blaming
yeah.
Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is a guy who wants the job. I mean,
Jim Jordan would have been a great choice to me, or much better. Or
of course, Anyway, now we're stuck with this piece of shit.
Deja vu all over again. Hopefully, he can come into alignment.
You have to have a 9-member buffer or 9-member little mini caucus to even call for a vote now against him. That was nice. That was a nice touch by Mike Johnson.
Yeah. And McKay saying, did Jim Jordan want it? I don't know if
Jordan
ran for it. He ran for it when Johnson got it.
Look, when the president of the United States says you want it, you want it. Okay. How about shoving it down the guy's throat and saying, look, your nation needs you. Stop fucking, screwing around. You don't want it.
Yeah.
Give me a break with that. Even what's his name out of Florida would have been great.
Byron Donalds.
Donalds would have been great.
Sure.
Anybody but this guy.
He actually got a vote.
He did. Oh, wow. Wow.
One of the people who flipped voted for Donalds, and then he changed his vote to Johnson at the last minute. But somebody said Jim's a toothless dog. I don't know. I don't know anybody who's necessarily good in there. They're all going to be compromised to a degree, but some less than others.
Yeah,
I hope.
All right. Well, what else do you have in the hopper there? I know we have some stories that we were kicking around, and
well, we've got all that. Okay, we could shift off of this. Did you see that Rob Schneider? I pointed out before that he was going to do a conservative View show.
Okay.
Apparently, the person he pitched to fund it was LA Times new owner.
Weird. Where would it air?
I don't know. I guess he pitched it to the guy. They've confirmed. But what I found really interesting, though, is that Schneider went to pitch it, joined by Cheryl Hines.
Oh, so she would be the host. I get it. Between her and the Markle getting back in through Netflix, as I predicted, as Eric pointed out, I've been predicting this for a long time. I mean, Cheryl Hines and Markle are the same people. These are women actresses of a certain age who want that last bite of the apple before their career goes away. And brilliant move on the part of Cheryl Hines if she could do this.
100%, because the View is timeless. You don't age out of it. No, you're in there, Barbara Walters or whatever. It's like, you just stay there until you don't feel like doing it anymore. You can't get a better gig than that.
The Markle thing, I predicted a long time ago that she would get rid of this Prince Harry, come back to LA and get a show and be done with this. I predict she will get divorced and she will continue to work with Netflix on this reality show. That marriage is done. The whole thing was a sham anyway.
Oh,
the whole thing was a sham. These 100%. Are narcissistic actresses who don't care if they're married to a prince. You think she wants to keep cutting ribbons in Zambia? For Christ's sakes, all this chick wants to do is get in front of a camera, which is what actresses do. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's who Cheryl Hines is. That's who a lot of these people are. That's their goal.
Well, I think it's similar to what you said about, don't have the Brits write our documentaries. Don't have an American marry into the royal family because they don't get it. They don't have the traditions, the culture, things like that, where, a lot of English women, they grow up knowing that this is an important culture to them, whereas somebody else from away is like, I don't care. It'd be a prince.
I'm sure there were a lot of royalists who were not happy with her.
Oh no, there were not. They definitely
were a lot of people who were not happy with this chick.
They were thrilled to begin with because they were treating her like the quote Black Grace Kelly. Because Grace Kelly was so popular with Prince of Monaco and all that.
Yeah,
but,
I think Prince Harry thought she was Halle Berry.
I think so too. Yeah.
There's only one Halle Berry, and it's not her.
Yeah. And it's not like she was an A-lister either.
No, that's what I mean. I think he confused this C-lister with Halle Berry, and he said, "Look what I found, Mom." She's going, "That's not Halle Berry.
This ginger could do it."
That's not Halle Berry. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, no kidding. Okay, well, this story I love because it involves Taylor Lorenz.
Oh, that's a good one. You have video on this one?
I do.
Oh, very good. This is a good one. This guy's my new hero.
He
set it up. Let me just set up. This is one of the heads of Enron. Let's just leave it at that for now.
Well, and this head of Enron, the new CEO of Enron, he recreated the pie in the face of Bill Gates. I don't know if you saw that. Yes. He did that a couple of weeks back.
Well, don't let the people decide who this guy is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people of Enron lied for years. How do you regain public trust?
I would define people, if by people you mean the 15 that went to prison. I would say there were 30,000 amazing people that worked at Enron that had nothing to do with the fraud and the scam and the scandal. And so I'm not a math guy, but 15 out of 30,000 is a pretty small number.
I mean, I'm so glad that you feel this sort of like level of love for the former employees and company. I feel like for most Americans, they don't have that positive connotation with the company. It did so much.
Keep in mind, the last person she was celebrating was Luigi Mangione.
Right. Now she's moved on. She's moved on. Go on.
Right.
Much harm, and it destroyed so many lives.
If you want to talk about lives that were destroyed, let's look at the 2008 housing crisis.
Okay.
Millions of lives destroyed, and only a few people went to jail. More people went to jail for Enron than for the literal destruction of the U.S. and worldwide housing economy.
That's true.
And so I think that there's a double standard here that we're trying to shine a light on that says, hey, do as I say, not as I do.
You know, throughout this interview, you've been so optimistic. And I'm kind of wondering, how do you square that optimism with the very real harm that Enron has done?
The rhetoric of the word harm and just in general,
but it has done.
manipulative.
I mean, but we have to talk about the harm, the bad stuff that Enron has done in the past.
No, we don't. Who said that we need to talk about the harm?
I'm
I
saying,
would back up for a second and I would think, what is Enron? So Enron is not just a company. It's not just people. It's the look that your child gives you when they come down the stairs and see the Christmas tree in the morning.
Enron is?
Yes.
Okay, this is like the company men. What was that group, the corporate guys who were doing this fraudulent stuff back in the 90s? This is another piece of performance art by this guy, to people who haven't figured it out, saying that he's one of the executives at Enron, to this schmuck of a reporter who's been had yet again, Eric. And the kid is brilliant. The kid
he speaks beautifully.
Beautifully. Very well done. There used to be a bunch of guys who did this, and then I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was part of that group, but this is not the first time this has happened. But man, did he do this masterfully.
I love it.
What a send-up. What a great performance art send-up.
And what a perfect stooge. Actually, you know, Matt Walsh, he might be getting too recognizable.
Yeah.
Maybe he should hire this guy for the next movie. Like, you know, he did what is a woman? Am I racist? So what would this be? Am I corporate? Or I don't know. I bet there's a film here.
There's a film there, that's for sure.
All right. Well, while we're in a lighthearted moment, let's look at the forecast map, because there's a severe winter storm here that seems to be throbbing across the country.
What? Oh, yeah. I saw that. I was very embarrassed. I didn't know if that was by accident or what. But it looks... I didn't know. I just thought maybe there was something up there. But yeah, the storm seems to have elongated and stretched itself out, erecting all kinds of different weather patterns across the country in a tubular manner, extending outward across a broad region with a lot of men down below.
I know, and I'm worried that it could explode anytime.
It could explode anytime, and who knows what kind of fluids it could drop onto the American people.
Yeah, absolutely. With all kinds of soot and hail and
hail, rock and roll.
Okay, you sent me this story.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it is. Okay, this is somebody trying to steal a robotaxi.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so they've got those Waymo vehicles roaming around LA, and nobody's in them. You know, they're just all over the place now. So some guy tried to hijack one and take over it and drive away with it. I don't know if there's any video of it.
The man is in custody after he took over the seat of a self-driving robo-taxi. It happened just before 1 this morning at 5th and Hill Streets in downtown LA. The man was in the driver's seat of the Waymo car. He refused to leave the vehicle. Several officers moved in, the door opened, and the man finally got out. He was then taken into custody. It's not clear if he was a Waymo customer.
Drugs are bad.
That story makes its own sauce, and that one makes it. You don't have to really read that much more into it, but that's a good one.
No. And I think we had this one for Tuesday, and we just didn't get to it. The German parliament is dissolved.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on here?
Complete collapse of civilization. They have backed themselves into a Ukrainian corner, and that government has collapsed. They have used up all their money. They have no energy. They have no oil. They have no gas. They have no nuclear facilities. The French, on the other hand, I just finished watching Nuclear Now, the Oliver Stone film about nuclear power. The contrast, and it's 2 years old, but the contrast between Germany and France is breathtaking.
How many times have I talked about how France deliberately didn't shut down their reactors and let Germany go woke with all their environmental stuff? And it was like, oh, you're right. Good on you. Good on you. So they could slowly take over the EU.
I mean, they have cleaner air. They have unlimited power. This is the French. The Germans have nothing. They don't even have a pipeline anymore, Eric. It apparently got blown up. So they are really screwed. They have done this to themselves to do the bidding of the Biden administration, and they box themselves into a bunker. Let me put it that way.
Wow. Oh, okay. You know what makes me happy is super chats. There's a lot here. This is a banner day. We've got Pamela Clifton saying, "Happy Friday, guys. I'm counting down the days until President Trump comes back home."
It's going to be a big event. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people going to it. I hope the weather is good. Sometimes those could be really frigid. I hope he gets good weather for it.
I hope so too. I'm debating driving up there.
I mean, if I was where you were, I would definitely consider it. I'm not coming from out here, but if I was on the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's a historic
Viva's
event.
going to be up there, and I might go up and hang out with him for it and see about getting some footage or whatever. Steve Connolly's a new member. Eddie Fisher is a new member. Thank you.
Eddie Fisher, wasn't he married to Elizabeth Taylor?
At one point. But he stepped up his game and he's hanging out with us. Dick Dickerson. Did you watch the Sean Ryan show? Freaking crazy. Haven't had time. And just
I did. I watched it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Grandpa gifted 5 America's Untold Stories memberships, which we definitely appreciate. Dick Dickerson said we both have them, not just at China. Yes, that's right.
What does that mean?
We both have the drones that are advanced. The U.S.
Okay, that's not what he's saying. Again, I'm not a drone expert, but that guy is. Either he's lying or he's delusional, but he's claiming we don't have them, and we are enormously vulnerable to a Chinese attack by these drones. This is his take on this politically.
Dr. Evil, 814, mineshaft gap.
That's funny.
Mo Bishop, both vehicles can be driven remotely.
Which one? The Waymo, the Waymo taxi and the Tesla?
I think it's probably talking about the
truck.
The truck, but
really,
there's lots of witnesses that the guy was driving his own truck and getting out and.
Well, he got out in a gunfire. They had a shootout.
I
okay.
Can
we talk about this insane chief of police? Somebody put a picture of Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. She looked just like Granny with a cement pond. She gets kicked out of Oakland. She then sues Oakland, I presume for ageism. She gets a $1.5 million settlement out of the city of Oakland, who were happy to see her go. She then runs over 2 people with a New Orleans squad car or SUV in New Orleans, a city she has no idea which streets go which way or that way. She must have gotten a good amount of money. She's teaching the FBI about DEI. She goes and teaches the FBI about woke culture on the side when she's not protecting the great people of the city of New Orleans, to which I have a key to the city for putting on the world's largest toga party. I'd probably be arrested today if I try to put that on.
I mean,
what is she? What is this 69-year-old woman doing running a police department?
Well, from what I understand, she's equally as bad as the mayor they have right now. And we are talking about New Orleans. We are talking about the city of was it Nagin and the school bus Nagin?
Mm-hmm.
They have a long history of corrupt.
Oh yeah, they said somebody said they gave them $40 million from the feds to put up these barriers, and they stole the money. Political people within the city.
By the way, they had the money for the levees and
they stole
they stole all that money, and then that's what Katrina. I mean, this is another.
That's why I was saying to you last week, I don't want to go to New Orleans. And again, this is a Democratic shithole. It has the highest murder rate in the country, second to Oakland, where she was. I mean, this woman went from the second worst to the worst.
I'm going to give you more credit than that. You actually said it on Tuesday,
right?
New Year's Eve,
right?
And within 12 hours, this happened. Yeah. So no, you deserve some credit on that.
It's spooky down there. First of all, as I've said many times, there's a lot of death in the air down there. I don't mean that from crime. I mean history. And it's a vibe. Like I went to, when you go to see Marie Laveau's tomb, she is the voodoo queen of New Orleans. The whole city's got a spooky, weird, freaking vibe.
Well, that's because everybody's buried above ground.
Yes, that. But I'm saying all these centuries of bad, karma and like a lot of weird crap. Yeah, there's a lot of bad juju down there, man. I just don't feel comfortable in New Orleans. And I've been there a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got the key to the goddamn city for a reason. Because I don't know if it's still a record, but at that time, we put on the world's largest toga party, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. I think it might have been beaten now somewhere in South America a number of years ago. I think I've looked at it.
Well, I don't know. I was there in the late 90s, so it's been 20 plus years.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. It was a really a great, amazing city. It's a shame to hear that everything moved back, because I think there was a brief window, sadly, after Katrina, where all the crime got moved to Houston.
Yeah,
but apparently it's all moved back in.
Keep in mind, the guy who was the ISIS guy was from Houston, and the mosque was right up the street. Now, people from New Orleans have told me that the guy's target was the Catholic Cathedral, which is one of the landmarks of New Orleans. And January 1st is the feast of Mary, and he was targeting the church and the Mary Day of January 1st. And that Notre Dame was playing in this game in the Superdome. It was a multiple Catholic target that this guy was seeking to make a terrorist point about.
Great. So it's a modern crusade. Was that the
something right? That's what somebody said who was down in New Orleans. A person I know down there was telling me that the target was the cathedral. And also, this was a whole. I didn't know about January 1st being the feast of Saint Mary or something. There was more to this symbolically than I first realized.
Yeah, apparently this guy who ran his mosque.
How about this mud?
Deported.
Yeah, how about this mud?
Yeah, non-Muslims worse than animals. Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's also, they said, the guy who's currently running the mosque said, referred all people who had questions to CARE, to the organization, the PR firm for the Islamic fundamentalism.
Oh, we got a clip of him. What you want to hear?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
The worst of Allah's creation, even lower than animals, are those who disbelieve and refuse to. They are the worst. Why? Because they were given the chance. The chance to do what? To go to Jannah forever. They refused it. Treat them like that. Don't treat them more than who they are. When you see a non-Muslim, feel sorry for him, for her. Do da'wah to them. But don't lower yourself below them. The word.
See, that's the issue I have is we don't have caliphates in Western religions. That's a very specific thing, and it's all about taking over specific areas.
Oh yeah, I mean, sure. My UK friends have told me that candidates running for office in England now put up billboards saying they will implement Sharia law if you vote for them. They're boldly saying, "Vote for me for Sharia law," for various levels of government throughout the UK.
Well, because the population has shifted, and and the one guy who is screaming loudest about that has been in solitary confinement now for months. Tommy Robinson, and Elon Musk is coming out in his favor. I know there's a huge conflict about Elon Musk right now with the conservatives, but he also is right on some things. Like coming out for Tommy Robinson, I think is good.
Absolutely. Did you see them arresting that old man for sending for social media violations of creating anxiety? There's footage. I don't know if you still have it. There's some video footage of them, London police arresting this 65-year-old man who created anxiety in some back and forth between him and some other guy who were texting each other, having an argument, and he just couldn't believe he was being arrested. And the cops saying, "Well, you created anxiety."
Ooh,
yeah.
Anxiety. I feel anxious just hearing that.
Yeah,
he deserves to be locked up. Obviously.
Wow.
Hold on. Let's see. I think
we have to liberate the UK once we're done fixing us back up. Oh, this is it. This is the footage.
Yeah.
No, the Hampshire police would realise how ridiculous this is. It is. Look,
What did it need to come to?
Tell us why you escalated it to this level, because I don't understand. I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because there's something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media page. That's why you've been arrested.
This is astounding. This is a dystopian, ridiculous
it's so crazy.
World.
And they keep showing these cops who are uber aggressive, verbally uber aggressive. They show up, and they're senior command people who are doing this. They're coming as lieutenants and captains, lecturing these people that they did it to themselves. I've seen a lot of these videos. And if you're from the UK, you want to chime in the comment section down below.
Please
tell us your personal stories, because it's starting to get some traction over here in the US, and I'd like to perpetuate that if humanly possible. But holy crap! I mean, this thing is insane.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to see, just as an example with Tommy Robinson, for Trump to say, you know what, come here, we'll give you asylum.
Right.
I mean, that would be great, and it would embarrass the
Well,
UK.
how about economically threatening them with tariffs 100%. If they don't knock it off? That's all. I mean, end it in one day, saying we're gonna put tariffs on all your products, and that's gonna be the end of it. If I see one more freaking example of this, we're out.
Right, and it's just so asinine. It's like, oh my God, our comments give me anxiety, Mark. Jeez, do we arrest everyone? It's just ludicrous.
What part of free speech do they not understand?
Well, all of it. They don't have it.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have a First Amendment.
They get lectured by the Guardian. They get lectured by the Telegraph. They get lectured by these other newspapers. I mean, they are borderline fascists. Didn't Prince Harry dress up?
Borderline.
Didn't some royal member of the royal family dress up as a member of a fascist party at one point for Halloween?
Yeah, Harry did. And not only that, Harry also is a fascist himself. He's about as loyal as Schwarzenegger, his views. I mean, he goes on crying like a little bitch all the time and saying, oh, I want this, I want that. Watch our Netflix special and the bullying. And oh my God, it's just the saddest, most pathetic. This is a country who in World War II just was bombed almost to oblivion, and they just kept walking out. There were people just walking around while bombs are going up. Not anymore. Wow. Jeez, I mean, they're complete, utter cowards. It's so sad.
There's some breaking news out of Bulgaria where, and let me back that up to Romania, because the Trump of Romania, who was running for election there, who's like an Orban figure, had 67% of the vote, and the court stepped in and stopped the election. My reports are that he's about to be imprisoned like Khan was in Pakistan under the same situation. The Trump of Romania was not allowed to run for election, even though he was winning by a landslide. The court stopped the election. And guess what happened yesterday? Surprise, surprise. Romania got rid of all their borders and opened up their entire border to the entire world, which is what this guy was about to stop when he was going to be elected. So not only was the election stopped, not only is he heading to jail, yesterday, for the first time in world history, Romania has no border barriers, no more guards, no more geographic things to stop anyone from entering Romania, and is now a full-fledged member in good standing with the European Union, which is what they wanted.
God,
welcome.
Where's God the Impaler when you need him?
Well, this was all done because so quickly in the past month because of the rise of return of Trump. That's why the election had to be stopped. That's why he needs to go to jail. That's why the borders were eliminated yesterday. Bulgaria jumped in too on this, by the way, not to leave out Bulgaria. They also did away with their borders. This is just yesterday. This is yesterday.
Wow.
A lot of stuff happening because of the return of Trump, good and bad. Good and bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's this is so precarious right now. It really, 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 really is. I'm
still a couple of weeks left, Eric. They're not done yet.
Yeah, don't remind me. But while we're on a up note, Pew Pew gifted 10 America's Untold Stories membership.
Nothing phases this guy. He doesn't care. He never gets depressed. You know, it's a funny thing about Pew Pew. I'm kind of a negative glass half empty guy, but Pew Pew is a glass completely full, bubbling over, and I don't know how he stays so positive.
He's a Viking, damn it. He's a freaking
they
Viking.
Seem to like depressive people, the Vikings themselves. I don't see them as bubbly, funny people. Not unlike what's her name, the comic who had the Trump severed head. I don't know.
Oh, Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin, who is demanding that you buy tickets for her new concert tour because she says that Trump's going to put her in a concentration camp. That's some marketing approach.
Well, actually, there's another story. I don't have the clip available, but Whitney Cumming tried to make up for her.
Dude, I saw it live. She was great. I saw the whole thing live. She was great. It was fantastic. I
doing it to their faces was perfect.
Dude, it was great. They loved it. They didn't even have a problem with it. She goes, I'm getting more people at my shows than CNN gets on a Friday night. I mean, there were some great jokes in there.
Oh, Andy Cohen was laughing his ass off, but I think Andy Cohen gets completely soused during that, and people know it because a couple of years ago, after Griffin, but later than that, they shut it down or they kicked him off because he was too drunk or whatever. With Anderson Cooper, he was
pretty drunk the other night too, but it was.
He looked pretty toasted.
It was pretty funny.
Okay. John High said, "What does Chelsea Clinton have to do with this?"
Well, I'll tell you what Chelsea Clinton has to do with it. She hooked up with Abby Hoffman, and they took on the CIA in court, and they beat them.
Jimmy Carter's daughter, not.
Jimmy Carter's daughter. Oh, I'm thinking of Chelsea Clinton, right? What's Jimmy Carter's daughter's first name? She kind of disappeared off the radar. If anybody knows in the chat, because that's what I was thinking. Amy Carter. Carter.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from Amy Carter since she hooked up with Abby Hoffman and took on the CIA in court, the University of Massachusetts. Where is Amy Carter?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he was so old, she could have passed away for all we know.
She kind of disappeared. Chelsea Clinton married some stock hedge fund manager or someone in New York, I think. Not sure what happened to Amy Carter. But Jimmy Carter had another weird peccadillo that he would do. When he flew on a commercial plane, I didn't know this, he would shake the hand of every passenger on the plane like he was running for election of governor. He would get on the plane. Like, you want to touch this guy. He would shake everyone's hand, not just the crew, but the passengers, to make you believe he was a righteous dude.
But what's weird about that is that must have been like a superstition, because this is the same guy that countless people said that, they literally were going to paid dinners and he would just ignore them like they were completely dead to him.
Yeah, I told you the former senator from Pennsylvania said he was at a game. He wouldn't even acknowledge him. He's sitting right in back of him, had his newborn baby with him, and wouldn't even say hello to him. Just a bizarre guy.
Yeah, for sure. Tarkina Meyer, the first thing I thought was, why did he drive to the Trump hotel, then leave and come back later? When he first arrived, the valet was packed with cars and people. Right. If he wanted to have mass carnage, why not blow it then?
He didn't want to have mass carnage. I think that's fairly established, but I'm saying that you can't get in there. That's what I'm trying to tell you about that valet spot there. It's always a shit show. The guy drove around Vegas waiting for it to clear up. I had to park somewhere and go to Nordstrom's across the street for a couple. I parked in Nordstrom's across the street, went shopping, came back, saw an opening, and drove up in there a couple of times. It's a it's a congested ramp. Let me just leave it at that. And I think he couldn't find a spot.
Awesome.
Or who's ever driving the car couldn't find a spot. Sorry.
Could be. Scott Biddle, Eric and Mark. He was on leave from Germany. Yeah, that's why. I mean, he just flew here, Mark.
No, he had to, Eric, because he was literally in Germany 2 minutes ago.
Oh, I know. But being in the army, I mean, I know people go on leave and they fly back to the States. And
right.
It's pretty normal.
He had 2-3 failed relationships going on at once.
Well, no, that's not uncommon with this soldier either. But anyway, as far as the Tesla, it is a self-driving car, which I was saying earlier. Now with all the computers in cars and hackers can drive it. He didn't have to be in control. And yes, a lot of people are starting to realize, because Elon Musk is saying, oh yeah, it did this, it went to this station. And it's like, yes, your cars are being monitored. All of you who love the Teslas and you love the new EVs, you are literally plugging yourself into the grid. You are monitored at all times, or can be monitored at every point. So that one is not completely surprising. Here we go. This confirms what I thought. Thomas Grigsby said Fort Lee, New Jersey was named after General Charles Lee in the Revolution. So another Lee. There are several of them. You had Light Horse Harry Lee, who Robert E. Lee did go back to, but Harry Lee was with
What about
Washington.
Chang Lee, the guy who used to do my laundry on 13th
I think he might have been L.I., but who knows?
He spelled it L-E-E.
Did he? Okay. I mean, Lee's a common name, and it's not all Asian. I mean, there's a ton of Lees through Virginia and whatnot.
Don't forget Michael Hastings, who Rolling Stone reporter who was breaking stories against Obama. Rolling Stone was publishing them. His car sped up, crashed into a tree on Highland Boulevard, right? Or Highland Boulevard here in LA, Highland Avenue. In the middle of the night, exploded into flames and killed him. That was the first time I ever got an inkling of remote control cars. Like they had overridden the controls of the car that he was in. He said he was being followed. He told his brother or his relatives that he was being followed for a number of days. And then all of a sudden his car, and there's video of it, accelerating through multiple red lights and crashing into a tree on Highland. They tried to put it out, some neighbors there. It's a Jewish area, but he was dead on impact and the fire. Is that Hastings? Yeah. Who killed Michael Hastings? Who killed Davy Moore? It's a good question, but that's the first time I ever have heard of an automatic car being driven externally, was through this Hastings story.
And it's done more frequently than people realize. It absolutely can be done. The more modern a car is, because they all have computers, they all have and they can be hacked, and a lot of them remotely. Especially all of you who like OnStar.
Oh yeah, OnStar. Oh,
there you go.
I have OnStar of David, which is a little bit better.
Okay. All right, Justin Wright. How about that douche Merchan sentencing Trump on the 10th? Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, he had written a thing called The Runaway General, Michael Hastings, about General what's-his-face, who had undermined Obama and was then removed from command.
That was the one who told
McChrystal.
Yeah. It's to Rolling Stone. He's
that's what I'm saying. He worked for Rolling Stone. Yeah.
No, McChrystal said all that to the Rolling Stone and
that's Michael Hastings.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Michael Hastings was the reporter, and he wrote a piece called The Runaway General. Obama then gets rid of McChrystal, and this guy crashes into a tree.
The droner in chief.
Dude, and speaking of the drones, that was Obama's signature, was the drones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they called him a drone.
Dude, everything comes full circle. We're just laying down the dots here, people. There's a lot of dots, but there's a lot of connections all of a sudden too. It's amazing how many things go back to Obama. It's not like it even back, because he never left.
Oh yeah.
He just manipulates things behind the scenes. I mean, I don't think Jimmy Carter did anything other than humanity building houses. I mean, he didn't get into anything else, but certainly Obama has never seen retirement.
Well, he was a spook before.
Yeah.
And he's still a spook now.
Yeah.
I mean, he might actually, maybe he was the original Manchurian candidate.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, but he's got his whole family. I mean, his grandmother ran the CIA bank in Honolulu. I mean, there's so many connections to the Central Intelligence Agency with the Obama family beforehand.
As we covered in Family of CIA, if people want to check that out. Wonder how much time Dick Carlson spent with the Obama family. Anyways.
Yeah, I wonder.
All right, Dog Boy. I'm ashamed that my son-in-law is an FBI cybersecurity. Huh. He is as deep state as they come, and I hate to say it, but this guy could become president. Yeah, there are good people in the FBI. I do want to say, you know, especially the cops. There are like real cops in the FBI who are trying to bust corruption, whatever. They're never going to be promoted. They're usually locked down forever where they are. But I do want to acknowledge them. Cybersecurity, you know, I hope your son-in-law maybe is one of the good ones, but
well, she doesn't think so. I mean, if she doesn't think so, why would you?
It's Dog Boy.
Dog Boy doesn't think so.
I don't know. But let me see. Kurt Burkhalter, CIA officer Luke Wright created Air Corps in 1906 as Secretary of War for Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, it's a CSA officer, not CIA. Whatever CSA means.
Oh, I'm sorry, CSA officer. Oh, CSA, Confederate States of America?
No, I don't think so. He's talking about 1906.
Well, no, it said he had.
Oh, he's a Confederate officer in 1906. Okay, could be.
Well, he former.
Could be. Yeah,
it depends on how old he was.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Had Robert E. Lee taught at West Point, the South one.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Well, there were a lot of, for a long time, the Southern generals were just better. They were more effective until Grant came along, and everybody gives Grant a lot of credit. I give Sherman even more credit. I think that Sherman is kind of overlooked. He was sort of like Grant's hammer. When he went down and burned everything all the way to Atlanta, that was a significant.
I don't know how much military skill that took, but
well, you have to defeat people to do it. I mean, you don't just go, there is a resistance on the way.
Well, Sherman is not considered a friend of the South to this.
No,
day.
He's not. He's despised.
Well, it may be rightfully so, though, is what I'm saying.
I mean,
those, if he lost, he would have been tried for war crimes.
Right. Well, I mean, there could be a parallel given to Netanyahu and Sherman. It's war.
I don't know about that, but okay. Yeah, people say that, but I just want to put out that there is a lot of pushback against Sherman. And Grant was an alcoholic. Let's face it, Grant.
Yes.
There were days that Grant didn't know what day it was. So I think it was a war of attrition, basically, that the North had more industry and more men and more everything, Eric, right?
Yeah, but the person who admired Grant more than anyone who said he was one of the greatest generals of all time was Robert E. Lee. So
and Lincoln too. Lincoln loved him too, but I mean, he was still an alcoholic. I mean,
Okay. I mean, yes, he was. He also had a psychotic aversion to blood.
That's weird, man. That's just weird. For his line of work, you would think that would go away after a while.
Well, apparently, he tried to sleep every night in his
tent. See the Ken Burns multi-part 700 episode series for that.
It is. It's fantastic. Diffuse 56 gifted. I think that's a new name. Gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships, which I appreciate. And by the way, we have 3,999 people watching on YouTube right now.
You're freaking me out, bro. Really?
That is awesome.
I'm getting blood anxiety. It's okay. I'm getting social media anxiety. I'm gonna have to arrest Hunley.
Okay. Weird. John Neeson. Is it Neeson? Yeah, it's Neeson. New Orleans had 265 murders in 2022 after COVID school closures. 2024, there were 116, the lowest rate in 50 years, and a post Katrina low.
I love how they use these statistics as if they're accurate when we've been proving this to be inaccurate for years now, intentionally. I mean, multiple police forces have been caught altering these statistics, and yet there are cats who adhere to this. I think of Atlanta particularly, who got involved in a scandal with the real estate people to lower the crime stats to sell more homes in Atlanta. Give me a fucking break about New Orleans crime statistics. Give me tell me the FBI stats again that Trump said was a lie during the ABC debate and was proven to be correct 2 weeks later.
Okay, well, I'm going to push a little on that because some of that is absolutely true, but then some of it is relevant. When you're quoting murder stats, and that's really about the only one that is more reliable because there is a dead body and there is a number. Now, things like other crimes, sexual assaults, robbery, property crimes, all of that, armed robbery, all that can be skewed all over the place. But murder's a tough one.
Let me push back against you, brainiac of the stars. You're assuming there was a proper autopsy for a dead body in New Orleans. I'll rest my case. Thank you for coming by today. I mean, there's so many assumptions in what you're saying. I mean, think about the coroner department in New Orleans. You're assuming that they're going to stop what they're doing, find out that this was a murder, and record it. And logically, you're correct. You are correct logically. But when you get into the darkness of New Orleans and the corruption of New Orleans, a lot of things get swept under the rug, Hunley.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
You know what? Everybody, don't listen to us. Comment below.
Yeah, comment below. I don't care what you say. This is just my opinion versus his opinion. It's fine. I just believe it's a super corrupt city. I don't believe these statistics. And I think the statistics, as we've seen, have been manipulated by police departments to keep the job of this scarecrow woman, for instance. If she had the normal murder stats, and I'm just using supposition here, it might affect her career. And she has, and they were caught in LA doing this, downgrading murder things to negligent homicides and accidents and a bunch of other stuff. They were caught in Atlanta. So come on, let's get real here, people.
Oh, actually, this is funny.
Okay.
Homicides went down, but gators got fatter.
That's funny. That's a good one. Isabel, thank you. That was very cool.
All right. David Presley, is MK Ultra still alive?
Well, 2.0 still alive, and there's this 2.0 of ISIS is now back. I mean, that version is apparently still alive, and there's a lot of 2.0s going on right now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think the MK Ultra.
I don't even think MK Ultra is 2.0. I think it's just SOP.
Yeah,
I think it's like they solved it and then they shut down the program. It's just part of the normal internal programs that they have. They're not having to study it. I think they figured it out, and they're like, okay, this is how we do it. We just do this and this and this.
Yeah,
but I don't know. That could be.
There's a lot of stuff that can happen through television and through television programs, as we saw with the Japanese Pokemon case from a number of years ago with the children. Look that shit up and see what that's about.
And look up Pokemon Go and the CIA and what they're doing with it here. David March, my grandfather landed on a beach in Normandy to free France and the Netherlands and to get rid of the types of people who currently run the UK. Yeah.
Okay. They opened their own borders and they let everybody in from the entire world. And then they have a defense where they can't be removed. I don't know what kind of battle that is. It's a different type of military battle, but they are winning in this war, if you want to call it a war, to destroy Western Europe.
Yeah, sadly, I think that Brexit was a desperate attempt that came too late.
Yeah,
I think it was too late.
Well, look at the Swedes paying them $35,000 apiece to leave. I mean, you're talking about desperation. Holy crap!
Well, I agree. I hope that it.
I hope when we get Greenland, nobody's there when we buy it. Now you give them like a 30-day notice. You put it on all the signs in Greenland. You got 30 days to get out. New management, new ownership, and we get an empty landmass for the amount of money we're going to give them. But there's only 60,000 people there anyway. So
I was going to say, yeah, in a.
But still, they could cause problems. Who knows who these 60,000 are? They'll probably open up the border of Greenland and flood it right when we buy it. So it's filled with the. By the way, plane loads, train loads, and car loads of Syrians are now heading towards Romania. I forgot to mention that.
Lovely. Hey, we crossed 4,000 people watching us live.
Boy, you guys are going to be disappointed.
It slipped right back under.
I told you. Somebody said, "Holy shit, what am I watching here?"
No,
somebody people. 20 people said, "Oh my god, did I make a mistake?" Right. I thought this was
4,014. Now it's 3,984.
I thought this was the History Channel. Holy crap, did I make a mistake?
Apparently, I don't know.
Dude, what about that episode we do? You said like 1,000 people tapped into it for 49 seconds. You were telling me the other day.
Oh, that was a weird one. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, this is a stupid diner story. Goodbye."
Their average time viewing it was 49 seconds.
It was an outlier. Every other one, it's like average time is 25 minutes to 35 minutes, whatever. That one was 45 seconds.
Right.
And
oh my God, what the hell did I stumble onto here? This is outrageous.
And how did you get there? It's just kind of weird.
In their feed, it must have been in their feed.
I don't know. It was a blip of some kind. It was very weird. Well, who knows? Let me see. Karen Druckenbrod is.
That's she is one drunken broad. I knew Karen, but when she was sober. But lately, she's been out of control. Not only is she a Karen, she's a drunken broad.
All right. Oh God, here we go. Mick1, my Wi-Fi was cutting out. What was Mark saying about a big toga party and something about 69 and the chief of New Orleans?
What should we do? Just because your Wi-Fi keeps going out?
No, we'll just refer them to the episode. Just we have an episode of about Mark.
Oh, yeah.
And sorry, but you're here on YouTube. Go to the front of our page. There's a playlist that says Mark's memories and his time in New Orleans. There's an entire episode all about that.
Yeah, with the Otis Day and the Knights and getting the key to the city from the mayor, Sidney Bartholomew, who may or may not have been the first African-American mayor of a big city in the country. I forget what the deal was. But anyway, it's about the toga party we put on with Tulane and Loyola universities.
But yeah, definitely check it out. Oh God. Now this is cruel, PD. Eric and Mark, in late 2026, when you guys hit 120,000 subscribers, I'm coming down there and we're going to party.
We're going to party like it's 1999. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, I think we get a subscriber a month now. After getting like tens of thousands a month, inexplicably, no one on the planet Earth can subscribe to the channel any longer. It's very odd. YouTube just says, it's the algorithm, bro. Nothing you can do about it.
Who knows? But you know what? Let's push it. Let's cheat. Let's see if all of you who are here, who are new, go and hit that button.
Don't do it. I'm telling you, it's the darkest thing you've ever going to do. They'll never leave you alone.
It is free. It's free. Can't harm you. Absolutely free. Hit that subscribe button below. I promise it won't hurt.
Cash Patel will protect us after the FBI, after he gets into power. By the way, I mean, they still have to have the confirmation hearings, Eric. It's not like these guys are coming in January 20th.
Yeah.
I mean, we are not going to have an FBI director for a month or two.
Well, okay, that's a good question. Do they start confirming after he gets in, or could they vote ahead of time so then they can show up on day one because he states the intention of them being there? Okay. I'm genuinely asking.
No. You can, who? The FBI, or you're talking about the Congress?
Congress, right? You know, he's saying
they can vote whatever they want, but think how many days it's going to take, how many candidates there are to confirm. It's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be priority on
multiple days. We're talking about sometimes multiple days.
Sure.
Candidate by candidate that has to be confirmed. It could go into February and maybe March.
No, April. But anyway, for some of them.
I mean, take the Kennedy one. That could be a week. But they're not doing others. I mean, while they're doing one, the Cash Patel is not going to happen at the same time as the Kennedy one.
No, I'm pretty well. I don't know how they prioritize. I would hope
they're going to have an interim.
That.
You're going to have an interim FBI director, is what.
True, you have to.
Just like there's an interim. I think he's interim. The Secret Service director, is that guy interim? Like, what's that guy's legal status?
I think he is. I think he's interim.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And
that douchebag's got to go.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not permanent. Trump hasn't named anybody for that job, though, has he?
Nope. I'm telling you, he's going to keep this guy. He's going to keep the guy.
I wouldn't put it past him because
I know.
All it is with Trump, and I it makes me sick is all they have to do is go kiss the ring and kiss his ass for 10 minutes. He'll be like, oh yeah, we're good, because he loves getting along with people. Then they leave and stab him in the back as soon as they're gone.
He needs a hatchet man. He needs or a hatchet woman.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, there's a Rumble rant here from Amdrum12. Happy New Year. Sorry to miss your show Tuesday, but listen to the rebroadcast. As far as Trump and Johnson goes, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. He's got too many things to go on. You don't have to. He doesn't have time to supervise his enemies.
Yeah, I mean,
internally.
And I don't think Mike Johnson's his enemy. I think Mike Johnson's just inept. Yes. I just think he's a piece. He's an inept. He's a weak leader.
He's weak.
I don't have any beef with him. You know, I mean, he's weak, and I think he blows with the wind. And he will, if the wind blows the other way, he'll turn on Trump in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Sad but true. Sad but true.
There's a Rumble right here. T. Gaggiotti. Eric Hunley, Brainiac to the Stars, has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I that's a T-shirt I've had made up for you. So,
all right, I'll be waiting.
Yeah, Brainiac to the Stars.
Vexing Sobriquet.
It's a rolling baby monitor on steroids. That's a weird
Tesla. I like that. It kind of is.
You mean because it could just drive while you have your baby in there and breastfeeding your baby?
Well, a baby monitor is what is the baby doing in the other room? Are they crying? Are they this? We're monitoring them. So,
I see. I see. Right. So they it's like a rolling Intel car.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is.
Built like a tank, though.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. I wonder what it could survive: machine gun fire, torpedoes, RPGs.
They tested it. One of the gun nuts. And I mean that affectionately, by the way.
Wait a minute. You're not calling me a nut. I love my guns, Hunley. How dare you?
Okay. Yes. We have what we affectionately call the gun nuts who watch the show and correct us correctly. I mean, I understand we get gun things wrong. So we say gun nuts with love.
Yeah.
But there was a gun nut channel who got a Tesla and shot it up with a machine gun, and it held up. It was like just a bunch of dimples. Pretty surprising.
Wow.
M. McOne, a few hours ago, the Sean Ryan show had some interesting info concerning the Green Beret and the Tesla truck explosion. He was desperate to share info. Yeah, we were talking about that and opened the show. If you,
we did at the beginning of the show. We covered that. Look, I mean, unless you think he's paranoid and delusional and suicidal,
which we never say on YouTube, we're doing so well.
Yeah, but unless you think that that's the case, I mean, you've got to take the guy somewhat seriously. Is all I'm saying, Eric.
Well, the thing I'm saying, there's so much weirdness with him. I don't know what to think.
I don't know what. You don't know what to think. All right. Well, you're the Brainiac to the Stars. What do you? You don't have to worry about it because you can kind of use hope to get out of the spotlight. But I hope it works out where we find out, both of us find out what the hell these two things were about someday, because we never found out about Steve Paddock in Vegas. And when they had that sheriff's press conference yesterday in Vegas, I had flashbacks, PTSD, to Laura Loomer grilling that sheriff, who I think is now the governor of Nevada, if I'm right. And it was almost like a time warp. That press conference by the sheriff in Vegas yesterday, the New Year's Day, seemed like the Steve Paddock one from the killings by Steve Paddock a number of years ago. It was never resolved. They never came up with a motivation. I think it took the FBI 5 years to come out with a report, and in the report, they never determined any motivation for Steve Paddock.
Fair enough. I'm looking forward to hearing on Sunday Viva and Barnes, because Barnes is wired into Las Vegas a little bit. Okay. And maybe he'll have some information too that we'll get to him. That'll be cool.
Okay.
Sean Lucan gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships, and we thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you.
Barb Arian, was Ron Jeremy at your toga party?
Why would Ron Jeremy be at my toga party?
I don't know.
I saw Ron Jeremy in Albertsons a couple of years ago, and lives in Hollywood. The toga party was in New Orleans, so I don't think he was there.
Ron Jeremy's No, they let him out because he's mostly gone now, isn't he? He's not well.
I think he got out for COVID.
Right, but he also he's a dementia or something's going on with him.
Nate Hochman, not to be confused with young Nate Hochman. Nate Hochman, the DA, is currently, as we do this show, meeting with the family of the Menendez brothers. Kitty's sister and the father's sister are meeting with Hochman to get the Menendez brothers out. Hochman has said he hasn't had a chance to review the case yet, so he hasn't said one way or the other whether he'll be for dropping, or not dropping the charges, but allowing them to get out of prison and have time served.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting timing, but he's. Let me see. Ebony J. Detroit. Tesla is a cell phone on wheels. Oh boy, hope there's no updates in traffic. Yeah.
Boy, they have these different analogies, these literary analogies of the Tesla. It's pretty interesting. Baby on wheels, a cell phone on wheels. It's a lot of people have opinions about that vehicle.
Oh yeah, well, and by the way, the press tried
that one or all of them. Yeah.
Well, no, they tried to feed into that because I know people who despise electric cars and post constantly every time an electric car catches fire because of the batteries.
Could you show that map that I gave you of the guy recharging? Can you pull that map up? I was astonished how many times this guy had to recharge that Tesla.
I thought it was a lot, but it actually worked out to about 300 miles or so, which isn't the worst.
Right, but how long do you have to sit there?
I don't know. I mean, it's
not like you're pulling in for a tank of gas.
No. Well, that's part of why I don't want one. I'll have to see if I can find it. Because
okay. Oh, don't worry about it. But it was there was like, just in that trip, it looked like
it was like 7 or 8.
Yeah, maybe 10 times you had to charge it. And that's if you could find the charging station. I guess they must tell you internally in the car where to go.
That's one of the reasons that I don't want one too, because you have to plan your whole trip. You know, like right now it's like, okay, wherever it is, is there a gas station somewhere? Oh, you get it. And it's pretty much universally available. When you're dealing with a Tesla or something, you have to literally say, last charging station, 200 miles or whatever it is. And then when you get there, is there a line? Does it take 2 hours to charge? How long does it take to charge? And that's just sucks.
There was 1 or 2 charging things by the General Patton Museum, which is off of the 10 when you're leaving California, when you almost go into Arizona. And people were online waiting to use the charger at that particular station, which has a gas station and a couple of restaurants and stuff like that right there. But it's not necessarily true that it's going to be open.
Lovely. I'll see if I can find that. I know you sent it to me. I just don't have it.
No, don't worry about it. What other?
Al Gonzalez. It's obvious.
Reporting in, Intel operative Al Gonzalez, the reporter for America's Untold Stories. What do you have, Al?
It's obvious the FBI and intel agencies knew all about the New Orleans guy prior to the act. All that was missing was Ruth Payne answering the door saying, "What took you so long?" Yeah. There were supposed to be a lot of warnings about him.
Hold on. It's obvious the FBI and intel agencies knew all about the New Orleans guy prior to the act. All that was missing was Ruth Payne answering the door saying, "What took you so long?" Okay. Yeah, I don't dispute that. I mean, he was on somebody's radar for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of them. Let me see. Oh, geez. Beavis Wallace came in hot. $100. Howdy, brothers. I'm not gifting memberships, but still watching. Seriously, WTF is up with Trump wanting Greenland? I just don't get it.
We went over it in detail last week. It's really a military geolocation, and also the resources.
A lot of oil.
There's a lot of stuff under them Thar hills, and it was originally called Greenberg land for you anti-Semites. It was shortened to Greenland in 1905 during the pogroms. So now it's you could change the name if you buy it. You don't have to call it Greenland. You could call it Iceland. and then force Iceland to change their name to Greenland.
I see.
This is George Wallace's great-grandson, Beavis Wallace. Thank you so much. We really
thank you, Beavis.
Fans of your great-grandfather.
Beavis is the podiatrist, if I recall.
What? Really?
In Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I can go to him with my bone spur.
Remember? Yeah, we talked about.
Yeah. Is that the guy?
That's him. That's Beavis.
Oh my God.
I got a rumble rant from Am Drum 12. What's your take on Muriel Bowser visiting with Trump? Was it really as friendly as she made it sound? And I agree, Johnson is really a pussy.
Thank you. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., or
I guess
is she the mayor of D.C.?
Might be. I don't know.
Well, tell us in the comment section so we can see if anybody knows.
Yes, she is.
Okay, thank you.
It makes sense she'd visit him. I mean,
she wouldn't bring in the National Guard despite multiple attempts during January 6th.
But I would think it would be good form for the mayor of the city that contains the White House to, visit or at least represent. I don't know. Dottie, the Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau of new media. What a start to the new year. But are we surprised serving Trump a steaming pile of poo for the start of his presidency like Pulse nightclub?
Yeah, very good analysis, Tony. That's kind of what we were implying, it goes unfortunately with the course. This has happened before. It feels like deja vu, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Paul Ryan. He endorsed Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, he found Jeff Sessions, a guy who was the only guy wearing the red MAGA hat, and he said, "This is my guy. I'm going to make him attorney general." And then he excuses himself 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Then he finds Bill Barr. He says, "This is my guy. He's the most loyal guy in the world. His name is William Barr. His father may have been involved with a certain guy who had a list in a private school, but I'm going to make him attorney general because he's my guy." I mean, how many times have we heard he's my guy already?
Yeah. And it's as I was saying, it's whoever he sees last. And that's the thing. It's like,
it would almost be better if he made himself into a more of a figurehead in this second. Okay, let me just play it out, because if he's a figurehead and allows these other capable cats to do their jobs, and he's just got a broad overview as an American president, and makes general statements and operates on an ideological level, it may benefit all of us to serve under that type of administration than a hands-on guy who continues to misread people who are his enemies. There's just too many examples. I mean, obviously he's not going to change now at this age. I think the best thing would be to allow this Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Nunez and these others to do their jobs and just stay out of the way. Just be a figurehead.
Yeah, well, there's precedent for it for example, in the military. Okay, a typical commander will have, first, depending on their level, they'll have the XO, which would be like a colonel will have like a lieutenant colonel or a major under them, and they're the hatchet person or the senior enlisted person. They do all the dirty work. So the commander has the vision. This is what I want to happen.
Yeah.
And then they have the people under them who break the legs or whatever has to happen to move things forward. And then meanwhile, everybody's like, "Oh, the colonel's such a good guy. So nice." So
well, I just have my doubts about Susie Wiles' great grandmother at the age of 68 being the hatchet man for the Trump administration. Call me ageist or whatever you want to call me. My gut tells me that she's not the one for this job, and she's not long for this job. I'll stick that one out too.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see after the 20th.
Yeah.
And by the way, if she does leave or pick somebody on the 20th, they'd be like, okay, so she was a transitional person.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine.
No shame in that at all. No shame in that at all. I mean, but the Matt Gaetz debacle, somebody's got to be to blame for this stuff that we're going through. It's just not, Matt Gaetz didn't pick himself to be attorney general.
No, he didn't. Speaking of Matt, hold on, we have a clip of Matt with his
new show.
Yeah, with his new
show.
Cool.
Cool.
Let's watch that for a second. Come on.
I'll watch that show.
Tonight on the Matt Gaetz Show, the battle for the gavel is heating up with a group of GOP holdouts putting a snag in Speaker Mike Johnson's plans.
Wow.
We'll have Representatives Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massey, and Victoria Spartz on to discuss what they expect for Friday's critical vote. Plus, deadly attacks strike New Orleans and the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. We'll have retired Army Colonel and DoD Intel operative Tony Shaffer and retired CIA officer Sam Faddis on for a closer look into what's behind New Year's terror. See you at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Now, you have to admit, it was an interesting first day of his work. It was the night before the Speaker of the House election, which had direct ties to him, causing the current guy to be in there to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to watch that show if I can find where he is on OAN and add that into the mix. I want to see how he handles this. I'm tired of watching Tony Shaffer, though. Aren't there any other military people out there that can do these shows? It seems like it's the same cats all the time. McGregor, Shaffer. You know, it seems like the same 6 people make the rounds out of an entirely gigantic retired military world.
I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of retired.
No, I know. Not that I dislike this guy. I just like to get some other viewpoints in there.
Yeah, I guess they're dependent on, you know,
Gordon Chang. If I see Gordon Chang one more time, the so-called China expert, I think I'm going to, you know, take my laundry to another nationality because I can't. You know, these people run out of things to say, Eric, and they keep repeating themselves. You got to change horses just for entertainment's sake.
I'm trying to think, has it always been that way? I mean, there's certain regulars. Well, and also they have contracts. A lot of them, I think, where it's like it's almost like they're a host, but they're just revolving.
Yeah.
Around. I don't know. Let me see. John Hyde. What are the stats on the gang fights and drug bust the NOLA police chief is leading when she is working the streets? Well, what, in 1929?
No, but I just want to know what happened when she ran the people over with the SUV. Here's my theory, and I've said this before, not because of her. The chief of police should be from that city. You don't want, and this goes back to the 90s and earlier, where they do some bidding and they get a chief of police from another town. You got to have grown up and walked the beat in that city. This is just my personal thing. I've been saying it for decades, to end up being the chief of police of that city. I do not want somebody from Memphis, Tennessee to be the chief of police of Los Angeles, California. They don't know the streets. They don't know the beat. They don't know the cops. It's just a no-brainer for that particular job. It's got to be someone from within your own city just for geography knowledge. I know that the chief of police in New York knows New York. I think when they say go to a certain place, he knows what stores are on that street. There's just stuff, if you've grown up in that city, that you're going to know. Is that too much to ask, or am I out of line?
I think it depends on where it is, because there are cases that, for example, a high ranking person in a department could move to a smaller city.
Okay.
And bring some knowledge with them.
Okay.
Or
how about
there
the
could
other
be,
way?
Well, it could also happen depending on what it is. But if you have a corruption problem within the city, bringing in a talented person from another city, you have to surround them with people who know where things are.
I'll give you a good example of the latter. Was Chief Bratton. Chief Bratton came in from, first of all, he went in, as Al Gonzalez knows, he came from Boston to New York, and that was never done before. Then he cleaned up New York. Giuliani took credit for it, but it was really Chief Bratton. He came up with a computer grid system, as Al knows. And then he came to LA, and he did not know LA, but he had this computer grid system where he spotlighted and focused on where the crime happened and flooded the zone. Nobody had ever done that before. That was a Bratton invention. So it did work here in LA.
So there are times. That's all I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with you on the latter. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. The Clarion Call, reactions and opinions. Have you read Confederates in the Attic? They say Sherman was not hated until well after the war. I have not read that. I read his other book, which is fantastic. You're talking about Tony Horowitz, who passed away several years ago for cancer. What was that? I forgot his other book, but it was an American history book. It's really good.
It was famous Jews of the Confederacy.
Not that one. It was the other one. Anyway, I do plan to read that sometime. Confederates in the Attic looks interesting. Michael Murphy, snow in New Jersey. Drones are grounded. LOL. Happy New Year. Lashana Tova. Any comments on the judge will sentence Trump January 10th?
Earlier, we covered
in
that.
the episode.
Yeah, go back, go in reverse. There's something there for you.
More of that.
What do you give us? 690? Is that the AM radio station that he listens to?
Apparently. I want to hear more of the Boomer soundboard again. What's that rewind sound like? No.
Oh, yeah. We'll play it on locals.
Tony Holman is a member for 3 months. Great show, guys.
90 days. He's a 90-day wonder. He got a chip and he's ready to go. Oh, by the way, I saw this movie, The Second Juror, a Clint Eastwood movie.
I have problems with that.
Yeah,
I loved the premise, but it kind of pissed me off.
I know,
left and right, because there were so many errors. I think in it. Like right out the gate, he said, I can't do jury duty because my wife is pregnant. It's an at-risk pregnancy. And she goes, can you go to your job? And it's like, yeah. But he can also leave his job. Are you going to say, okay, oh, your wife, sorry, we'll stop the whole trial so you can take care of your wife. Anyway, just so many problems.
Well, you're right. I don't want to give it away, but let me ask you this. Where was his job?
No, good point. Yeah.
Thank you. He never ever goes to work in the whole movie.
No.
Right. Even after the jury thing's on, he doesn't ever go to work, to an office.
Yeah,
it's got other holes in it, but I won't have to.
Well, he worked in the evening, supposedly, or he showed up.
No, because he says 9 to 6. She says, what hours do you work?
Yeah, it was.
The judge says, what hours do you work? And he says 9 to 6.
It was a mess. It really was a mess.
It has some problems. Let me put it that way.
And I like Clint Eastwood. I mean, Clint Eastwood is a talented director, obviously, but that I don't know. It's like he dialed it in. I've seen better movies for TV for consistency.
Well, it looked good. It looked like a good movie.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Right.
Anglo 1967. If Gates had any more bad cosmetic work done, his ears would end up meeting in the back. What do you think the future holds for Tish James?
Well, it's two different things. First of all, I don't think he's had any work done at all. I think he's a young guy. Second of all, Tish James, like I said, I think she's going to run for governor earlier on in the show. And she's put out those signals, which is not unusual because I think that Andrew Cuomo was Attorney General of New York before he ran for governor. There's a long history of Attorney Generals running for governor.
Hochul was, right?
There's a long history of Attorney Generals becoming governor in New York. But you have to live in Albany, which is kind of harsh. If you're a New Yorker, living in Albany is not the greatest moment of your life.
Not your favorite thing?
No. I mean, that's a shithole.
All right. Well, we're going to be rolling to locals. Before we do, though, I didn't know. Did you want to talk about what you sent me earlier in text?
No. We'll talk about it ourselves.
Okay. So all right.
Yeah, we'll talk about it ourselves. But you can subscribe to the channel. That wouldn't kill you.
No.
And you can join locals, even though I know Hunley keeps pushing the free thing, but even if you paid, God forbid, you ever open those moth-filled wallets of you viewers at home, it's $70 for the whole year, not $70 a month. A lot of people are confused. It's $70 for 12 months. This is January. You wouldn't have to pay one nickel until next December 31st. And if you did
until January.
Until January.
Until 2026. Yeah.
Until January 2026, if God forbid you were able to spend $70 for an entire year to support us, because every freaking week we're demonetized by these fascists because of either verbal stuff or their own demonetization, for reasons they don't even explain. A lot of times the only support we get is through locals money. Right, Eric?
Yes. Now, super chats do get to us, even when we're demonetized. So we do appreciate it. Like Tim McLaughlin giving 5 America's Untold Stories memberships. That helps us out on YouTube. A little secret though, for $70 on locals, you get more benefits than you do even on YouTube memberships, because we're putting up
tons more.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's, we're putting up documents. I do a weekly hangout exclusive stream on there, the grill stream. More to come. Obviously, the Oswald audio drama is,
and hopefully the LBJ audio drama, which may be another membership.
It'll be done the same way. It'll be part of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a lot of stuff over there, and you could support us, which is more important, since that a lot of the times is 80% of our money.
Yeah. Depending on the month, yes, it does make a difference, because YouTube can be rough, and we can also,
I'm glad there's a new FCC chairman. That's all I could tell you.
Go hang out and discuss things a little bit more. And on that note, I do hope you guys follow us over, and Happy New Year. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year.
We're into it.
It's going to be 10 times better than last year.
Hey, 2025.
It can't be any crazier than the year before, this 2024. But there's still 2 weeks left in the game, and anything could happen in 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. This game is not over yet.
All right. And if we don't see you at locals, we will see you next Tuesday.
CUNT.